Hare Krishna. So today we are going to discuss about how to become fearful. No? We already are fearful, right? There is a very beautiful Vaishnava song by Govinda Das. And in his song, he is giving us the formula to become fearless. Now, important thing to understand is what is fear? How many of us have fears? Sorry, how many of us don't have fears? No hand will go up, right? What are the kind of fears we generally have? In the US, the biggest fear, the survey shows, is loneliness. That's the biggest fear. But besides that also, this great poet, Govinda Das, who's also a great Vaishnava, not only addressing this topic of fearfulness, but let me ask a question. What other kind of fears do we have besides loneliness? Fear of death. Anybody who wants to die? No volunteers. Fear of old age. Ask me. Fear of unknown. Birth, yes. Fear of birth. Insecurities, miseries, disease, right? Poverty, yes. Fear of losing our loved ones, losing our youth, losing our money, our possessions, losing our family. All these fears are there. So how can we live peacefully if we are so fearful all the time? So Govinda Das, he is telling us, there's a very beautiful Vaishnava song, which is Bhajahu Re Mana. How many of you have heard that song before? Yes? It's a beautiful Vaishnava song where Govinda Das is saying that Bhajahu Re Mana. Mana means mind. He is actually pleading to the mind that you please worship Nanda Nandana, son of Nanda Maharaj, that is Krishna. Now, worship doesn't mean you take a bell and you take one agarbatti and ting, 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 ting. No, that is good. That is worship, but there is a lot more to worship. So he's saying, Bhajahu Remana Shri Nanda Nandana. Abhaya. Abhaya means fearlessness. So when we engage our mind in serving Lord Krishna, then automatically we will become fearless. Now the choice is upon us. Do we want to lead a fearful life or a life free of fear? So he's saying worship. In fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains to Arjuna that with the help of the mind, one can elevate oneself or degrade oneself. That powerful is the mind. It's so very powerful. Doesn't our mind talk to us? How many times in a day? Thousands of times. Keeps talking to us. We want to go the right way. The mind says, no, go that way. That's the best way. And what do we generally do? We just follow the dictates of the mind. Why? Because Prabhupada says the mind is not under control. So here this Vaishnava song is saying, Abhaya Charanara Vindari. When we worship the lotus feet of Krishna, then we will become Abhay, which means no more fear. Then he says that Sita Atapa Bata Barishana Edina Jamini Jagire Bifale Sevinu Kripana Durajana Chappala Sukha Lagalabire. That just for flickering happiness, right? How many of us here are happy? No hands go up. One hand up there, right? Why we are not happy? Because the happiness is flickering. It's there and then it's not there. I get a new iPhone, I'm so happy. Then I see my neighbor with a better phone, then I'm unhappy. that happiness is gone, it's flickering. So in this temporary material world, the happiness also is temporary. So here, Govinda Das is saying that if we engage our mind in worship of Krishna, then the mind will become our best friend. It's hard to find best friends in Kali Yuga, right? It's always an exchange. There's a business. It's always, what's in it for me? If I become your friend, what will I get from you? If I don't get anything from you, then let me find somebody else who can give me what I want. So here, Krishna is telling Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 6, verse 6, that one who has conquered the mind is the best friend, otherwise it's our worst enemy. It's going to degrade ourselves. It's not going to help us elevate. Somebody is calling somebody. Okay, I forgot. What was I saying? Yes, can be best friend or the worst enemy. So if we are afraid of so many things, we have so many fears in our lives of losing family, loved ones, wealth, beauty, whatever it may be, or even loneliness. You know, there is fear of also, there's this social pressure. How many of you experience social pressure? How many likes did I get on my Facebook post? Oh no, only 5? I spent so much time and effort in posting on Facebook, and what did I get? 5 likes. I need how many likes? Thousands. That's how I'll become popular. Huh? What? It's a moving target. That's a nice way to put it. Moving target, yes. So there's social pressure. There's so much involvement, especially on social media. And that's where more and more we become fearful. So he says, Durlabha Manava Janama Satsange. This human form of life is Durlabha. It is very, very difficult to get human form of life. Very difficult. Out of how many species? 9 million species of life, right? Thank you. 8.4 million species of life. If I say 9 million, don't say yes. It's 8.4 million different species of lives. In the Puranas, there is a breakdown of these 8.4 million species, and it says 3 million species are quadrupeds, the 4-legged animals. 3 million. Different species, not the population, just the different species. Then 2 million trees and plants, 1.1 million insects and reptiles, 1 million birds, 900,000 aquatics, and only 400,000 species of human beings. So very rare. So it's Durlabha Manava. So what should we do? Jivana Satsange. We should engage our mind in doing satsang. What is satsang? Chanting. Chanting the holy names of the Lord, like we've been doing. We were in the Arati, we were chanting and dancing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So Jivana Satsange, we need to associate with devotees and engage in bhakti yoga, devotional service. The whole chapter in Bhagavad Gita, number 12, is about devotional service, which means serve the Lord with love and devotion. Then we will be able to engage our mind in the lotus feet of the Lord. Now let me ask a question. Since the time I started speaking, how many of you can let me know that while I was speaking, your mind left this room and went out? Thank you for your honesty. This is how the mind works. Within seconds, it just keeps flickering. So, satsang means associating with devotees. When we associate with devotees, then we learn the process of devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada, he's given us a compact process. Very, very simple. Chant and be happy. Chant what? Hare Krishna. I know you have not eaten prasadam, but still it can be louder. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Right? So when we chant, the spiritual sound vibrations, they enter into our ears, they go straight to the heart, and it cleanses the heart of all the impurities. What are the impurities in the heart? Anarthas, unwanted things. Lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion, all that is there within our hearts. Maybe in little small degree, maybe in large degree, but they are there. So when we do satsang, jivana satsang, when we do satsang, when we come together and we read about Krishna, when we hear about the Lord, then there is purification. This is how we can engage our mind. Prabhupada says the mind is like a child. Now the child wants to do everything all the time. You give a toy, it's going to break into pieces to see what's inside. It will run here, run there, do this, throw the things around and everything. There is so much chaos. Is the child going to listen and say, sit down, sit down? I say, sit down. Does the child listen? Never. I know, never. Never, ever. But if we give something better to the child to do, then the child will be happy, which is called higher taste. Maybe this little girl, I love this little girl. What is her name? Gauri. She is a wonderful example for us how to chant and dance, how to enjoy the association of devotees, how to worship the Lord. Now supposing she starts eating mud and the mother says, don't eat mud, don't eat mud. Is she going to listen? But give a lollipop. She's going to give up mud and she's going to start sucking on the lollipop. Why? Because lollipop has higher taste. This is how our mind works. It needs to be trained. It wants to do all nonsense things. But if we train the mind to engage it in service of Lord Krishna, then it's going to get higher taste and then gradually it's going to give up the lower taste. This is how we train. And for that, we need a bona fide spiritual teacher, a spiritual master, a guru who can guide us how to be fearless. And here Govinda Das, he is saying, Chapala sukhala balagire. It's all flickering happiness. When I used to work in the corporate world, my colleague was 80 years old, 80 years old. And he was doing 2 jobs. I was tired of doing 1 job. It was so difficult just to work 8 hours a day. But he did 2 jobs. So one day I inquired from him, what is the motivation? Why are you doing 2 jobs? He said, my goal, look at his goal. His goal was to become a member of a golf club. And so he was doing 2 jobs to save money so he can become a member. So I asked him, then what? He said, then what? I'm going to play golf after I retire. When do you retire? After 10 years, when he's 90. And then what is he going to do? Prabhupada says, put a ball in the hole. That's all he's going to do. Become a member. He has slogged all his life. And the remaining few years, hopefully few years are still left for him to put a ball in the hole. What kind of goal is that? That is wasting the human form of life. How many of us have made plans, 5-year plans, 10-year plans that after this, on maybe in 2030, this much money I'm going to have, or this job is going to be how many of you have made those plans? 5 years, 10-year plans, right? That means you are saying, you are guaranteeing that you're going to live that long. But here he's saying, Jivana talamala, that Jivan, this Manav Jivan, this human form, is like a drop on a lotus leaf. Do you all know that no drops of water stay on the lotus leaf? It just glides down. Why? Because it has a wax covering on the leaf. So Govindas is saying that our life is like that drop of water on the lotus leaf. It can slide anytime. What does that mean? That we are in a fair and we are sitting in a slide and we go zzz down? What does it mean? Death can come any time. So our 5-year, 10-year, 15-year plans are not going to work. One should have, now that we have this human form of life, we have philosophical intelligence, which is better than the intelligence of the animals. So what do? We try to understand the purpose of human form of life. And the purpose of human form of life is eat, sleep, and be merry. No? That sounds so good. So much fun. Right? No hard work, just enjoy. No. The human form of life is meant for self-realization, where we try to understand who we are. That we are this body. That's what we need to understand. No? I'm just tricking you all to make sure you all are awake. Because sometimes when the class starts, that's when people get sleepy and drowsy and get some nice rest. There was this gentleman who would come to hear Srila Prabhupada, and he told him, "You have cured my disease." What was the disease? He couldn't sleep. But then when he came to the Bhagavatam class, he would get such sound sleep. Why? Because the mind is not engaged in worshipping Krishna. And worshipping Krishna means Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. The 9 processes. In fact, he himself, Govinda Das, says, Edhana Yaubana Putra Parijana Iti Ke Achi Parititire Kamala Dalajala Jivana Talamal Bhajau Haripadanitire. That now that we know that our human form of life is like a drop on the lotus leaf, which is so very fragile. Yes, it's fragile, and we are not sure how long that drop is going to stay on the lotus leaf. Anytime it's going to slide. So, Bhaja Hari. Yet we need to chant the holy names of Hari, that is Lord Krishna, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Govindas is saying everything is going to go away, whether it is the youth or the family or possessions or beauty, whatever it is one day going to go away. So we need to be prepared. Like I was young at one time, but not anymore. And you all are saying, yes, that means I'm old. Uh-oh. Like in Hindi, they say, Abhi to main jawan hu. You know, I'm still young. Maybe young at heart. But there is no assurance that the beauty is going to stay forever, the youth is going to stay forever, the wealth is going to stay forever, and the family is going to stay forever. No. So Govinda Das is saying, Bhajau Hari Padani, that we must worship the Supreme Lord Hari, that is Krishna himself. And that's why we come here on Sundays together to do satsang, to sing together, to chant together, to hear Krishna Katha, to learn from the Bhagavad Gita and also from these Vaishnava songs. We can learn, like today we are learning how to become fearless. Now, it's not going to happen instantly that tonight you go home and you say, I am free, I am fearless. It's not going to work like that. We have to work on it. There has to be training. There has to be constant practice. Practicing. Why did Srila Prabhupada tell us that the way to self-realization is that we chant the holy names every day for 2 hours, 16 rounds every day? That's the prescription for the disease we have. What kind of disease? I don't want to know what diseases you have, but what does Prabhupada say? What kind of